see the genie, the Will Smith genie. Oh, it looks so bad.
Oh,
why did they make his face so small?
I don't know.
Dude, it looks like it was shot in like the 80s.
It looks like it's a JoJo stand.
I wish it was a JoJo stand.
Yeah, actually, the JoJo stands in that live action movie look better.
Look, man, all I care about is Frozen 2. Anyway.
Yeah, right.
What is up, Internet? It's your boy Brando, and welcome to episode 11 of the Otaku Remix Podcast. Joining, as always, Christopher House. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing alright, man. I'm a little under the weather, so if I sound nasally, I apologize.
Don't open with fucking excuses,
Listen,
you
man.
nasally bitch.
It's my... Just get to the next guest.
How you doing, plural?
What up? I'm doing great.
Christopher. Matt Kahana.
Jeez,
is
got my
joining
fucking
us.
name wrong.
Look.
What kind of host is this?
I know, sorry. Woefully unprepared for my close friends. But I'm glad you could stop by once again to join us for this joyous occasion where we get to talk about one of our favorite isekai animes, the 2016 hit Konosuba, which is short for I don't know what.
God's gracings on this great earth.
It's God's blessing on the beautiful
on
world.
this beautiful
Yes,
world.
yes. But the wonderfully fun isekai Satire from 2016, which also had a second season, I believe, in 2017, 2018. Chris just got a chance to watch it, and afterwards we digested our many thoughts, and we thought we'd share why we think it's a special isekai in the grand history of the genre. Chris, since you have just completed the series, why don't you open us up? Why don't you tell us why you think it's a... Well, you're the one who has the freshest take at the moment, or I don't know what to say, hot off the presses.
Well, yeah, what I found so interesting about it, well, first of all, it's just hysterical from the get-go. But what's interesting about it is that it is a genuine satire, that it's not just a mockery of the isekai premise, that it's not just, poking fun at all these established,
Tropes.
Tropes, thank you.
Yeah.
All these tropes. It actually, takes the premise, a fantasy world setting, and goes full ham with it. So, for example, in most isekai, you get a character who gets put in this other world, either voluntarily or involuntarily, and they do standard fantasy world stuff. They level themselves up either through experience or through literal leveling up. They go on a main quest. They do their thing. Sometimes they have a life outside of it, and then that's it. Meanwhile, Konosuba, its first episode is our character, when getting to this fantasy world, getting a regular job.
Yeah, construction working
job. Having a decent, wage and, work ethic and actually having a place to sleep. And then he gets up in the middle of the night and goes, "What the fuck am I doing?"
He's sleeping in a barn.
Yeah.
This is wrong!
This is all wrong! That's the show's thesis. The show's thesis is we are in a fantasy setting where social norms don't have to exist, where we can have characters act whatever way they want, do whatever they want,
right? And
that allows itself to just be hysterical in every sense of the word, and it undercuts every trope that isekai has, but in a nice-hearted way.
Yeah, you think it's very genuinely appreciative of the isekai genre. It's not something that's despite it. It takes the tropes and flips them on their head in a way to show the flexibility of the genre, perhaps would be a way to say.
To push the envelope.
Exactly, yeah, to show exactly what other boundaries there are. Okay, I like that a lot. How about you, Plural? Give us a quick impression. You've seen this before. Yeah. So you and I have kind of a little bit.
For me, this show is all about the characters. I think the characters are... It's you set it up the same as everything else, but the characters are really extreme in their tastes and how they are. Cosmo is a complete ass, pretty much, to virtually everyone he sees, whether he says it vocally or not. Yeah. So all the characters are very extreme in... if they're a route, they're really hard. Megumi, blowing everything up, because that's what she does. Everything is really hardcore instead of toned down for a lot of the characters.
Yeah. I agree with that sentiment that it's very character... My opinion and my thesis on this show is very character-based, that it's hard for me to say what is great about a certain comedy. It's usually the interactions and the relationships, but specifically with Konosuba, it's the characters that always stand out to me as the pinnacle of my memory. Not anything that happened plot development-wise, but just how well the dynamic functions between the four of them. Because they're very... Not unique, but just... They have such good rapport between each other, and the show, the writers, or the writer, I should say, since it is from a light novel with an author of an unknown name at the moment for me, but they wonderfully place them in situations that highlights the best and comedic potential for their dynamic. So I like that a lot.
And I think that's a great place to start when we're talking about like how the show works as a satire. So Kazuma is our main protagonist.
Yep.
He is, in any other isekai show, he would be the hero, usually has a personal flaw that prevents him from being such hero, and then over the course of the show overcomes that and steps up to the plate. Meanwhile, Kazuma is actually a wannabe hero. We see this when he selfishly...
We see it numerous times.
And we see it numerous times, but the best example is how he gets killed when he throws himself in front of a tractor thinking he's trying to save a girl who was not in trouble.
He did think it was like a train that was like about, or a
truck
that was about to hit a girl, and I think he tried to push her out of the way or something.
Yeah, but he doesn't even look at the scenario or anything. He's just like, oh, here's my moment to shine because I'm neat. And this is how I'll prove myself. And it's like not necessary at all. So it completely undercuts that trope. Furthermore, when he gets into this new world and he's given a chance to make a name for himself, like be something better, he can't.
No,
because of who he is. He needs to take the easy way out. He needs to to max min everything. And he can't just be a hero. He has to enjoy everything he does at every moment.
When we were talking in our prep, when we were talking about how like satire takes the expected tropes and either kind of pushes them further along the envelope, pushes them to the extreme version of himself, or puts them as the inverse. When I think about Kazuma, and like a spiteful inverse of it might be, or rather an expectancy of it would be like some sort of fat slob, like unsociable character. And usually with these guys, it's a power fantasy. Like the standard would be a power fantasy with a heroic nature underneath the hikikomori that like comes through in the fantasy world. This one shows that there is no hero underneath. There's actually this scummy, egotistical asshole underneath all of it, who is lazy and just doesn't want to work for the heroics, and he just wants to have the good life.
Like it shows he was a NEET for a reason. He's lazy. He wants to do as little work as possible and still get the job. Maybe not.
He just wants to get the results. He just wants.
He wants the benefits. Reap the benefits of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it leads to so much humor throughout the show. I mean, going even further, we have Aqua, who you guys described as the typical tsundere.
The impression is tsundere at first. I wouldn't say that she is in any way. Of course not.
No,
absolutely not. No. But the first impression, tsundere-esque. Can
I ask what, like, if anything specific gives that off, or
because it looks like there's something underneath. Like when she talks to you, she acts like she's like the mean girl, and then like the classic tsundere is the mean girl, and then on occasion you get the nice girl that comes out. But it's all mean all the time.
And when she's not mean, she's just crying. Because
although
when she's not mean, she's childish.
And in her case, it's not mean as in like pushing you around. In her case, it's like, life is about me. I am the center of this universe and all universes. I'm the only person that matters here, kind of thing. That's how she's
very ignorant of everybody around her.
Because I'm a goddess.
Yes.
Literally.
Literally, however you want to look at it. Arguably so, but
And then moving even further on that, we have Megnamine, our little wizard who only deals in explosive magic.
The best kind of magic there is.
Oh my god!
And this kind of undercuts. I wouldn't even. I don't know a trope that it actually undercuts. It feels closer to a real life scenario of when you're playing D&D with your friends, and there's that one person who's like, "I'm going to be an ice mage. I know I can learn other magic," and they would be probably helpful.
Stubborn,
right?
But I am role playing as an ice mage.
Like.
A thoroughbred wizard. The only, I don't know, like I said, she from the exterior looks like the childish little sister-esque character who I would assume would be accommodating in some degree. I don't know what they would undercut, and instead she is this very blunt, stupid meme that just
waiting to be put on the internet.
All of them are, though.
I mean,
God,
sure.
We're getting to the meme lord in a second.
Yes, Darkness is. She's like the punchline for the show. At times, her
literally the punchline.
Yes. Double, triple entendre there.
So if we haven't gone far enough with Aqua, Kazuma, and Megnamine, Darkness pushes the show's envelope so hard, where she is a freaking crusader / paladin, who is a masochist, and just gets off.
She loves the front lines.
The
every part of it.
Yes,
the emotional and physical abuse.
Yes.
And like that one, I don't think even undercuts anything. I think it goes more to the point of we are in a fantasy setting. We can do whatever we want. Even have this crazy idea of a female paladin who's a masochist.
Why not?
Cause we can.
Yeah.
Like it's a genre literally steeped in fantasy, a world that we could never expect to happen.
Yeah.
And so why not have characters that would never exist in real life?
Well, they do, but not
but
not on the every
you don't run into them like that.
No,
not on the surface level. No,
no.
They live in the seedy underbelly of
of the conventions. But that's what's relatable about them too. Is that they're crazy. Like it's a weird idea, but these people do exist in like pockets.
Yes.
And the fact that this show just kind of celebrates them. Is great.
It shows you people that you probably will never meet and probably never want to meet, but it really shows them they do have their appeal. Not just for satire purposes, but they actually have good parts about them that do come out at various points in the show.
That should be the highlight of like what we're saying right now. If that disappearing, like the characters of Konosuba are the highlight, like I mentioned earlier, and their dynamic is makes you feel very familiar with them. I think that's something that a lot of people, a sentiment I hear a lot from people who watch the show, one that I echo myself, that I feel like after watching this show and after the short 2 seasons that there are, you kind of feel like you're part of the group. Like you feel like you're the 5th member, secretly just kind of hanging out with them, because their interactions like echo a familiarity with each other. Like they have a tight knit group, so the conversations and the dynamic and the humor that they render is all kind of thanks to their very unique relationships.
One of my just on a side note, like I think something that this show does very differently than some of the shows is how it, at least for Kazuma, how it portrays what he's thinking. So in a lot of shows, you'll have parts where like, oh, there's this strategic thing, and then the protagonist will talk about their plan in their head, and then they execute. Kazuma, it's not so much that, it's that he pretty much talks crap on everyone he sees in his head, and how he formulates it, and like how almost justifies why he thinks this person is a scumbag, or this person deserves to get killed, or whatever it may be. And it's always very like pretty much like against them. It's always like, it's all about me, screw these other people kind of thing.
Yeah.
Very in a very comedic way, of course.
Yeah.
And so it's funny how the show can just push so hard, but like also make relatable characters at the same time. And I think it comes that's where you feel the author's love for this fantasy setting. Because if they were just making fun of it, they as we pointed out earlier, they would just make these ridiculous exaggerations of characters that already exist. Whereas these are characters that I can't think of that exist anywhere in any other show. Like they just act so bizarrely, but yet like within their own character, like their own internal logic works whenever they act out. But it's just kind of like fun in that way, and it's held well throughout the first season. I mentioned that the second season, as entertaining as it is, actually kind of loses that satire edge it has, and goes straight to comedy because it doesn't introduce any new characters or stuff like that.
It definitely loses some of the what we would consider the better qualities of it. I don't think that season 2 is by any means a bad season.
No,
not even close. No. It's a lot better than most anime I've seen in general. But it kind of enters a more of like it coasts a little bit on the adventure and comedy aspects, and does less so on the satire of isekai, because at that point, I mean, they've addressed most of the satires. At that point, you're basically existing in their world, and it's almost become an actual adventure at some point. It's obviously they're still making fun of it along the way, but
in more overt ways. It's not like the amazing reveal that our first grand mission is to take down a bunch of cabbage.
Or frogs.
Well, frogs are pretty standard, but the fact that goes so poorly as well, it's just like
horribly poorly.
But it still works out. Like,
Yeah. I mean, it always
they kill the frogs.
Yeah.
It's unconventionally, but
they all do things so
those poor women get slimed.
unoptimally.
Yeah.
fucking, like
Barely passing.
Nobody
kind of
died.
thing.
Well, Cosmo dies later, but
Spoilers. But yeah.
spoilers. But that's another thing where the show sets itself up to have no drama or no immediate threat.
Yeah.
Where a character literally dies, and they just kind of blow it off.
Like, all right,
you
moving
died.
on.
Here's a resurrection.
Yeah.
It's not like South Park where a character just dies and whatever.
And
Actually, it is like South Park where a character just
and
dies.
it's not only that, but when he dies, he like doesn't even want to come back.
Yeah.
And they like have to drag him back to life.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
He talks to Eris and he's like, "Oh man, I can't wait to go back to real like normal life."
Yeah.
And then fucking Aqua is bringing him
This
back.
is not the world he was expecting. When
Calls
he came here.
collect, dials collect to pick him up.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that world was his chance to get the world he expected, and just because of who he is,
It's not gonna happen.
not
guys.
gonna happen.
Not gonna
Never gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. So So that first season ends strongly. There's a movie coming out as well.
Yeah, that's
I
coming
forgot
out, I
about
think, at the end of this year. At some point during 2019, a Konosuba film will be released. We don't know exactly when because either A, you and I can't read Japanese, and the promos are lost upon us.
Working on it.
We haven't Googled hard enough. But it's coming, and it could be coming soon.
Yeah.
Or not.
But I expect it to. Honestly, I expect this series to continue following where season 2 has been going.
Yeah, when season
where
3
it just
comes, or the movie?
I'm saying how. So season 1 was satire, season 2 is comedy. I expect everything going forward to just be comedy, where they're just going to expand upon the lore. They're just going to fill out more of these characters' backstories, and give them more bit characters to play off of.
Yeah.
And the movie will probably do some of the same because the show's just so popular now.
Yeah. I stutter only because it's like because of the popularity and because of the established nature of the show. I see where you think like, okay, it doesn't have to really dive back into the satire, which is where like a lot of the
It's where the initial charm came for me. Because I've been told about the reason why I hadn't watched the show until now is because I'd been told the premise and I went, oh, it's a funny premise, but like I didn't even chuckle at the premise. What I think is important for a comedy is for it to surprise you.
Yeah.
That's a very important thing.
Right.
And that first episode does it so well because it not in the setup of he dies in a stupid incident.
Yeah.
It does it because he's given because of the pacing of it. He dies because of a stupid reason. He's given a chance to be reincarnated with any weapon he wants, and instead he chooses Aqua because she's being a bitch to him.
Yeah.
Like the most spiteful reason ever. And then once they actually get there, it doesn't go straight into the satire. It actually tries to play legit with them having construction jobs and stuff like that. Yeah. And it's only at the end of that episode that it goes, nah, fuck it.
Well, I mean,
and that's the shock value, and that's what grabbed me.
A little bit because they are at the guild hall.
Yeah,
they'll get registered.
He couldn't afford to register. I feel like.
Yeah.
And then he had
they do turn on like the beginning of the game trope where it's like normally you're lauded as like the potential hero, and instead he's like just a measly adventurer with like low level stats, and then Aqua is like this godlike archpriest, and everyone's like she could be the one to take down the Demon King,
which is like never brought up again.
Yeah, well, I mean it is, but not so much.
Yeah. And but like the pacing of that first episode is so strong, and that's what made me watch the rest of the season and then the rest of the series. But I don't think the rest of the series, anything else in the series, is going to have the edge that first episode did.
Yeah, but I mean, pilots are meant to be like that. I mean, that's their entire.
Well, this
purpose.
one did it very successfully, and I should say, I say that the rest of the series is a comedy, not as a critique and not as to downplay. It's still very good. It's just. It's not something I'll be thinking as hard as I did about those first couple episodes.
Yeah, it's just an observation at that point.
Yeah. So we should expect the movie sometime next year, maybe.
Sometime this year. It's 2019, so I don't know when.
The whole rest of the year.
When Japan gets it, we'll Jolly Roger it. Hopefully.
But So overall, what are your guys' kind of thoughts on the show after an in-depth analysis?
I mean, after our conversations, I really did start to appreciate. So, like, when we talked about, like, the satire elements as opposed to the comedy elements, and again, not as a downplay, and we talked about how it kind of coasts a little bit, I don't think that's a problem in the sense that, like, we won't be entertained. We'll definitely be entertained. The reason it has those legs, where it'll just keep being able to be entertaining, I believe, is because of what me and Matt were saying is the characters. Because when you make a comedy out of that's predicated on the relationship between characters as opposed to the plot or the narrative may demand comedy as opposed to the relationships demanding comedy, or rather that being generated, like the generator of it. I feel like that's why it's able to do so much, because all you have to do is kind of like have them be next to each other.
Yeah.
And that's the recipe.
Very Seinfeld-esque, where it's just like these characters are so funny on their own that they can be in any scenario, and it just becomes hysterical.
Exactly, yeah. So that's why I think it has its sea legs. I think they were able to take it a little bit further in the first season because they were so direct about their scenario with the and more poised with how much they pushed towards the tropes of isekai. They did a little more. They continue to do so, but there's only so much after a point, and after a while you want to you move on to new material.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's why it doesn't satire so much as it used to.
Okay.
I mean, it's
I feel like it's already hit.
Yeah. Like the first season with the whole satire is all about they push the fold, and then that's like, oh, we got these guys. Now it's like we already have the characters established. So you already love the characters, so just show the adventures, and it will do it by itself.
And sell the figurines.
Yeah, and sell those figs.
Buy the aqua figurines.
The darkest ones are so expensive.
I can imagine. Darkness surrounded by cabbages.
Buy La Latina.
Oh, that's right, La Latina.
Yes,
La Latina. The best name ever.
Yeah. Nice.
But how about you, Flora? What are your thoughts on the show?
Oh, I mean, it's one of my favorite shows, comedic wise, and it's one of the few animes that I've actually gone back and watched more than once.
Yeah, it does have some good rewatchability.
Yeah,
its pacing is fantastic, and the English dub actually just came out this year, I believe.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
At least on Crunchyroll. Maybe it came out before. It's fantastic.
Okay.
Is it really?
Is it really?
No, it is, because the voice actors are having so much fun with it. In the
Okay.
same way the Japanese ones are.
Okay.
Like, over the top voice acting and stuff like that.
Sure. Okay.
I thought it was very good. I rewatched
Honestly,
they only have the first season out so far, but I rewatched some of those episodes in English and just to have it for this conversation, and I thought they did very, very well.
thinking about back, when I hear dubs of comedy anime specifically, and there aren't too many that come to mind, but School Rumble, and I believe Archon on the Bridge may have one. I might be fucking that second one, but definitely not School Rumble. For some reason, the dubbing seems a lot more digestible to me, because somehow they nail the comedic beats, and maybe it is because the material is just more lighthearted and easier for the localization team to maybe kind of transfer. I don't know.
It definitely could be. When you get to the absurd, like, because this is if you want to classify this comedy, and I don't know about the shows you just mentioned, but it's absurdist comedy, where people are acting in ridiculous ways, and so having lines that don't make sense is okay. Like there's not that barrier that like Kill la Kill has. Like listening to the dub of Kill la Kill, they got some talented voice actors.
Yeah, I haven't listened.
For that dub, and it still is hard to listen to because the script is so like, it's like Kingdom Hearts, where it's the light and the dark and the anti-spiral and whatnot, and it's a lot easier to digest when it's in Japanese and you don't understand what they're saying directly. Whereas this one, it's so straight, it's so like, the absurdity is part of the humor, so that's what you're enjoying about it.
It's supposed to be that bad.
So it's supposed to be that bad.
Yeah.
And so, like, not that the voice actors are bad, they're doing a fantastic job, but I think the show gets carried by it very well. So yeah, definitely check that out if you don't like reading.
Which is all we like to do. Well, actually, no. Love manga. And I think that the light novels would probably offer us some insight to maybe...
Yeah, maybe I'll pick it up with something.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it as well.
Maybe give us more insight into the author's initial intent.
Yes.
But yeah, I think that's what we have on Konosuba.
Yes. So we will probably wrap it up. Plural. Are you still plugless?
Yeah, I'm plugless.
Okay.
I need to find the outlet.
All right.
Oh. Boo. Boo. To be fair, I am also plugless at the moment.
All right,
so
That's okay.
I exist only on this show until the stream gets set up.
Yes. Until we red pill everybody with House.
Ooh.
But until then,
Oh.
thank you guys for watching. As always, let us know what you thought down below. I know you fuckers out there have watched Konosuba, most likely.
Oh, they have. It's 100%.
So, for those of you who have,
What are your thoughts? Am I overanalyzing a show?
yes.
Yeah, I don't know. Why I can.
Probably a gag out of it. Nah, it's okay. But no, for real, if you guys have some thoughts on what you liked most about Konosuba, if you guys have any ideas of what we thought, if we're completely horseshitting, or if we're fucking onto the third dimension, I don't know, fourth dimension, let us know. down below. If you enjoyed it, like, comment, and subscribe for more Otaku Remix podcasts. But as always, thank you for listening. Have a good day. Have a good life. We'll see you all next time.